Hi, mathematicians. Welcome to second grade application problem module 5. Turn to your next blank page in your journal. Label the top of your journal M5L7 for module 5 lesson 7 and then include today's date. Cut out problem 7 and glue it to the top of the page. Pause the video to get your paper ready, then press play when you are ready to continue. Let's take a look at today's problem. Jeannie got a pedometer to count her steps. The first hour she walked 43 steps. The next hour she walked 48 steps. How many steps did she walk in the first 2 hours? B. How many more steps did she walk in the second hour than in the first? So now that I've read the problem, we're going to use the RDW strategy to solve. So I've read the problem through one time. Now that I've read it through one time, I'm going to find all of my numbers and underline what the problem is wanting me to figure out. So I've read it through one time. Let's look for some numbers. I know that I have the number 43 steps, so go ahead and circle 43 steps on your prompt. I also see that she walked 48 steps, so circle 43 and 48. So while I think about the problem, I know that in the first hour she walked 43 steps. Then in the next hour she walked 48 steps. So she's walked a total of 2 hours. And if we look at question A, it wants to know how many steps did she walk in the first 2 hours. B wants to know how many more steps did she walk in the second hour than the first hour. All right, we've got this. We can do this. This is going to be an easy problem to figure out. But first, before we do, I want to create my tape diagram for problem A. So I'm going to go and draw and label a tape diagram for problem A, question A. So go ahead and pause the video, create a tape diagram so that you understand the wholes and the parts of the problem, and then press play when you're ready to check yours with mine. So if we think about this, how many steps did she walk in the first 2 hours? I know that I'm going to have to use the operation of addition. And I know that one of my parts is 43 and one of my parts is 48. What I don't know is the total amount. So your tape diagram should look something similar to mine. In the first hour, there were 43 steps. In the second hour, there were 48 steps. What we don't know is the total amount of steps altogether. If you did not draw your tape diagram correctly, please go back and fix it so that we can continue. Now that I've drawn and labeled my tape diagram, I need to write this as an equation. So my equation, I'm thinking, hopefully you've already written down, will be 43 plus 8, because I'm trying to find the whole amount, and I know that I have 43 and I have 48. To solve this problem, go ahead and use a strategy of your choice to solve. Then, when you're finished, come back and check your answer with how I checked mine, or how I solved mine. All right, let's see what you came up with. For mine, I'm simply going to decompose or break apart some of my numbers to make an easy 10. When I look at 43 and 48, which one of these is closer to the next 10? Hopefully, you agree with me that 48 is closer to the next 10. So to get to the next 10, I know that I have to add 2 because 48 plus 2 will give me 50. Therefore, I'm going to decompose or break apart 41 into a number bond. And I know that if I take 2 out of 43, that's going to leave me with 41. So 41 plus 2 is 43. Then I can take and add 48 and 2 together, and that's going to give me my next 10 of 50. That leaves me with 41. So now I simply have to add 41 and 50. Again, I want to do the easy math. I know that 41 I can break down into a 1 and into 40 to give me a 10. So I can take and add these 10s together. 40 plus 50 is going to give me 90. Though I have 1 left over, so I simply would say 1 plus 90 gives me 91. Hopefully you came up with the same answer. If not, go back and double check your work or try solving the problem by decomposing and making number bonds. Now that we've got the answer, or we've solved the equation, next I need to write it in a complete sentence. So go ahead and write your answer to letter A in a complete sentence. The question is, how many steps did she walk in the first 2 hours? Pause the video to write your answer in a complete sentence, then press play when you're ready. All right, hopefully you have said that Jeannie walked 91 steps in the first 2 hours. Now we're ready for part B. Part B wants to know how many more steps did she walk in the second hour than in the first hour. Again, hopefully you have already been able to visualize what this problem wants to know. And because they want to know how many more steps she walked in the second hour than the first, I know that this operation is going to have to be subtraction. So go ahead and set your tape diagram up so that you can visualize and see the whole amounts and the parts. Press play while you get your tape diagram ready. Or press pause while you get it ready, then play when you're ready to continue. So for my tape diagram, I know that in the first hour, she walked 43 steps. And in both hours, she walked a total of 43 and something to give me a total of 48 hours. So to solve this problem, I know I'm going to have to subtract. So go ahead and write an equation for this problem. For the equation, I simply wrote 43 plus something is going to give me 48. Or I could have said 48 minus 43 equals blank. Now that I've got the equation, I'm simply going to solve. And to solve, this is just some simple addition. If I'm at 43, all I do is count up 5 to equal 48. Or if I'm subtracting 48 minus 5, then that, or 43 minus 5, that gives me 48. So the answer to part B is 5. Now I have to write my sentence in a complete, or I have to write my answer in a complete sentence. The problem is, how many more steps did she walk in the second hour than the first? So to put that in a complete sentence, I would say Jeannie walked 5 more steps in the second hour than in the first hour. If you don't have your complete sentence down, go ahead and write it down. If you did not solve the problem correctly, go back and take a look at your problem to see how you solved it, and see if you set the tape diagram up correctly. Hopefully you came up with the exact same answer and you've written the answer in a complete sentence. Great job today, mathematicians. I really love how we stretched our thinking. Until next time.